But now what we're going to do is open it up to questions. And so I am going to open up my question window here. And I'm going to start taking questions. I'm going to start off with a question from Eve. She asked, will I ever teach how to use or tweak an API? And the answer to that is sure, although you're going to have to ask me specifically, what you want to do. That kind of instruction comes, generally comes from a specific request. So if you're working with a specific plugin and you want to do something specifically with an API, then you need to say, okay, I'm working in Genesis in the agency child theme, and I want to add this to from the WooCommerce API into my template. How would I do that? That's the kind of question you need to ask in order for me to answer those kinds of questions. I probably am not going to do a class on how to manage your way through the MarketPress API. No, and then maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe a whole bunch of people will want that, and so maybe I will. I'd like to remind you that this is the point at which you can use that question window to ask me questions. So, your little dashboard thing there has a place for you to ask questions. Please open that question window up and start asking them. Let's see, Bliss has a couple questions. He asks, RE credit cards. The store provides the framework to accept credit cards. Does the credit card processor have income and credit score qualifications to accept credit cards? Well, some do, and some don't. Unless PayPal has flagged you as being fraudulent, if you're here in the U.S., you can pretty much always get a PayPal account that will let you set up the credit card processing. There are different, but authorized.net may in fact have some criteria. The thing is that it's not like going to your bank to do credit card processing. You're not, because what you're really doing is you're using a payment gateway and not a credit card processor. And so the credit card gateway is going to have some rules, but just about anybody can get some kind of a payment gateway to work for them. So you don't really have to worry about that too much. And then let's see, in advance of the class, you asked which store option is most easily scaled. And I guess what you really have to ask, well, actually, let me just get you on I'm going to unmute your microphone, Bliss, as soon as I find you here in my list. Okay, Bliss, I've just unmuted your microphone.
Yes, I'm here.
So you're talking about which store option is most easily scaled. It seems to me like we really have sort of two scaled in which direction? Scaled in number of products, or scaled in number of purchases, or
number of purchases?
Well, it probably doesn't matter in number of purchases. They can probably all handle thousands and thousands of purchases. That's probably not a problem. There may become a problem in fulfillment when you have thousands and thousands of purchases, and you need to manage fulfillment. You're going to want a system that has a really good fulfillment manager like WooCommerce, rather than a system with no fulfillment manager like MarketPress. So, it might be if there's just an occasional, if you just got a handful of sales every month or a handful of sales every week, fulfillment management, it may not be a big deal, and MarketPress may work, but it's certainly not going to be the appropriate tool for lots and lots and lots of sales, because you'll have a hard time tracking fulfillment management. In terms of the catalog size, probably the ones that will scale best are going to be WooCommerce, Shop, and MarketPress. Um, those are probably going to be the ones that scale best for catalog size because they have the largest range um, of categories and sorting and attributes and that sort of thing. So with probably WooCommerce at the most extensible. Is there another way in which you want to think about that?
No, I was going to sell 3 or 4 ebooks and hopefully sell more as time goes by, and then possibly add, membership to the site later on. But that's about the extent of it.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about that more next week, but probably in that case, you're really talking about WPE store. Because if you're talking about only selling digital products or intangible products, then WPE store is hands down the most full-featured and the easiest and the best of all of the choices. So if it's ebooks and memberships, WPE store without question.
Okay. Thanks very much.
You're welcome. You have a good day.
You too.
Okay, let's see. Janice has a couple of questions too. So Janice Gulbis. Good morning, Janice. I just unmuted your microphone. Good morning, Janice. Or good evening, Janice. I can hear something in the background. Okay, could be that English may be an issue there. So she asked, are there multilingual e-commerce plugins and which ones are the best? And the best multilingual e-commerce plugin is going to be WooCommerce. WooCommerce will interface with WPML, which is a world-class, state-of-the-art multilingual plugin. And WooCommerce is going to probably be the best at that for that task. She also asked if the spreadsheets with the questions and feature comparisons will be available with the replay, and the answer is yes. Both of those, as soon as I finish those spreadsheets, they will be made available. It will be available in advance of next week's presentation because I will be using them in next week's class. Let's see. Is Ernst here? Let me see. No, Ernst's not here. Jenny. Is Jenny here? Jenny is here. Jenny,
Yes.
I've just unmuted your microphone.
Okay. Hi, Rick.
Hi. So you asked about drop shipping products?
Yes, exactly.
Yes, actually, WooCommerce has an extension called Advanced Notifications that can be
Okay.
used for selling and managing drop shipment type stores.
So basically, the extension, we charge the money. I mean, the money is transacted on my website, and then it sends notification to the dropshipper to ship the product.
That's
Yes?
correct. Yes.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
However, this is the only this is the only plugin that I know of that does that, though. The rest of them don't do that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you, Rick.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, let's see. Next, Shika. Okay, Shika's not here. But she asked about any tools or plugins required for e-commerce food catering business. And I think what you'd have to be more specific about that, but it seems to me like e-commerce for food catering is more like an intangible product. And so then you're left asking yourself, what your product catalog is really going to look like. And if you've got several different dinners, several different desserts, or you've got sort of ways of adding things on and taking things off and that kind of stuff, my guess is that probably WooCommerce is going to be the best for that. Just because it has the most flexibility in chaining or bundling products. So you could say, okay, well, we're going to add a chicken dinner, and we're going to add, for 10 people, and then we're going to add another 2 people, and, so on and so forth. I mean, I think that WooCommerce is probably going to be the most capable of handling that. Lucky, I've just unmuted your microphone. Good evening, or good morning, Lucky.
Good morning.
So you had a
Thank
question.
Thank you for the course. I thought that was very good this morning.
You're welcome. So you want to know about Dreamweaver?
Yes, I have a little knowledge of Dreamweaver, and I'm probably assuming that when you're using WordPress, it sort of does the job of Dreamweaver. But
well, yes and no. Let's see, CS5 and CS6 both have the ability for you to set up a local server and run your WordPress through Dreamweaver on your local machine, and that can actually synchronize with a remote server. So it is possible for you to use Dreamweaver to modify things like your CSS. If you're working in Genesis, you can modify templates and stuff like that using PHP, and you can do that kind of work in Dreamweaver. You probably wouldn't use Dreamweaver in Thesis, except perhaps just for editing CSS. But yes, it can be helpful. I do something similar to that, and for plugin development and for skin development. When I'm working on programming intensive things, I do develop on a local server, and I use NetBeans as my IDE, or integrated development environment, which is essentially the same thing as Dreamweaver in that regard. However, what you can't do in Dreamweaver is use its templating system, because Dreamweaver is creating HTML, and you're not really creating HTML. You're working inside of the context of WordPress. So you end up having to hand code your PHP or your HTML and your CSS, that kind of thing. But otherwise, sure, Dreamweaver can be useful if you're used to editing in Dreamweaver. Now, it can also be a total pain in the rear end, just trying to get all that stuff set up. So it's the one thing you want to evaluate in that. But there are a number of my members that I routinely see doing this work in Dreamweaver. So, anything else?
Well, if you were really, really good at using Dreamweaver, would you be better using Dreamweaver than WordPress?
Well, I don't know, because I'm not really, really good in Dreamweaver, and I never was. So I'm not sure what your workflow would look like if you were fast and competent at Dreamweaver.
Yes. Yeah.
I wouldn't use myself. I wouldn't use Dreamweaver ever, because it's a very complicated piece of software to learn how to use, and I already am fast at the tools that I use. But
Yes.
But if you were already really good at Dreamweaver, would it still be a good tool for development of WordPress? I don't know. If you're developing in WordPress and you're not already good at Dreamweaver, I wouldn't bother becoming good at Dreamweaver, because most of Dreamweaver's functions aren't useful in WordPress, because Dreamweaver creates templates and links parts of templates and all that kind of stuff. And that is all inherent in WordPress, and so you can't use those functions of Dreamweaver.
Well, that's really good, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
Well, probably lots of things, but that'll do for now.
Okay, well, I'll be around to ask more questions, so fire away at your convenience.
Thank you.
You betcha. Bye-bye. Okay, let's see. Yvonne. Good morning, Yvonne. I just unmuted your microphone.
Hi.
So you want to know about e-commerce plugins and compatibility with caching.
Right.
That's a pretty complicated question, or the answer is complicated in any case, because it depends very much on what kinds of things you are doing, or what kinds of things you're selling, and whether or not the plugin anticipates being used in the context of a specific caching plugin. Now, I think that I know that WP Store, which is a plugin that I believe you are using, WP Store has directions for making it compatible with a couple of the major caching plugins like WP Super Cache and W3 Total Cache. And in my case, I don't follow its instructions even though I'm using W3 Total Cache, because I'm not using I'm not trying to save session data for shopping carts, and that's what it's focused on. So I don't disable those aspects of the cache that it says are necessary in order for you to retain session data in your shopping cart. So that's why it's complicated, because you have these different, you have to ask yourself, does your plugin anticipate being used in a caching context? And if so, what aspects of it need to be adjusted? Now, I believe, and I'm not absolutely certain of this, but I believe that WooCommerce is specifically designed to work with W3 Total Cache, and so looks for W3 Total Cache, and then anticipates those caching settings, may even modify W3 Total Cache caching settings so that everything works well. I believe MarketPress does the same thing with WP Super Cache. The way I think that you'll want to approach this is you want to choose the ideal shopping cart, and then once you've done that, you want to choose the caching solution that works best with that shopping cart. And the way you're going to figure that out is by going to the shopping carts forum, support forum, and searching for that caching, and then going to the caching plugin support forum and searching for your shopping cart, and see, what different things people are experiencing.
Yeah, that was my other question, because I just, a lot of times if you want to look into these things, is there a common place you could go, or how do you go about finding what works with what? So that you just answered that question. Thank you.
Yeah, the place you go is to go try and find the forums, the support forums for both plugins, and search, or just search on Google for both of those things combined, and see what you learn by doing that. But you may discover that, for example, if you're searching on WooCommerce, you may discover that WooCommerce says we are, completely compatible with W3 Total Cache. Well, at that point, that's the one you want to use, right? If you're using WooCommerce, because they have already done the heavy lifting for you then.
Cool.
But caching is always problematic in an e-commerce application, because e-commerce writes cookies, writes session data, modifies pages, uses Ajax to refresh pages. None of those things work automatically on a cached page. So in some way or another, caching has to be modified or adjusted in order to accommodate that.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
Nope, that'll do it.
Okay. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Let's see. Okay, Jeffrey asks me, which e-commerce solutions support Bitcoin? You know, I think there's only one. I think the only one that supports Bitcoin is WooCommerce. Let's see. WPE Store might, but I don't think so. Let's see, payment gateways. Okay. There, we've got an add-on plugin that does. Okay, Stripe, CC Bill, ClickBank. No, I think the only one that supports Bitcoin is going to be WooCommerce. I think that's it. Okay. Phil Marston asks, what type of e-commerce store would you classify an Amazon A store as? Amazon A store is really just an affiliate marketing store, right? Where you are displaying products that are being sold on Amazon site, on your site. And you're not collecting any of their money, and you're not responsible for any fulfillment. You are essentially displaying a set of products on your site that when they click on the purchase, they're purchasing it and getting fulfilled directly through Amazon. That's really not an e-commerce site per se, at least not in the way that I've just been talking about it. That is an affiliate site. Now, as it turns out, there are some of these plugins, and I didn't mention this because this is really sort of not inside the context of setting up your own store to sell your own products, which is what I'm really talking about. But a couple of these stores will actually let you set up a product catalog for products that you do not sell, products that you're not collecting money for, and essentially when you click on a buy now, it is taking you to it's taking you to the site that that is selling the product. So it absolutely is possible for you to do something like that with both WPE Store, WooCommerce, and I believe MarketPress, where you can essentially use them as affiliate marketing stores where it looks like you're selling something online, but in fact you're not selling it online. You've created a catalog for it, but when somebody clicks on it, it really takes them to the real place where they're making the purchase and passes the affiliate link onto that. So that's something very similar to the Amazon A store idea that integrates with these plugins that I've been talking about. Some people do that for Amazon instead of using Amazon A store. So you can essentially create your own Amazon A store simply by creating your own product catalog with links where the add to cart buttons or the buy now buttons are actually links to the Amazon purchase. Phil asks, what about B2B? Phil, I'm just unmuted your microphone. I'm sorry, not Phil, pardon me, Phil. John Hearn. I don't know why I did that to you, John. John, I've just unmuted your microphone. John Hearn. You asked the question, what about B2B sales? Are you with me, John? Maybe you don't have a microphone. I'm going to leave your microphone unmuted here for just a moment. I suppose by B2B you're talking about wholesale selling, and you can certainly sell products wholesale. That might be a context in which you require membership in order to make a purchase. So if you're a wholesaler, you may only sell to a certain number of people or take orders from certain people that already have wholesale developed relationships with you. And in that case, probably the best choice for you is is WooCommerce, because WooCommerce also gives you the ability to have a very extensive sort of user profile configuration, and so you can have the user, set up their own configuration with their, that allows you to collect a sort of PO number with a with a purchase, and lets them set up all kinds of information about the company, like their tax account numbers and things like that. So if you need to have that information and you want them to be able to maintain it for you and stuff like that, you'll have it right there in their customer settings. WooCommerce is something that would be good for that.
Jim, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Sweet. Yeah, that definitely answered my question. I guess the only other thought I had about B2B is the ability to do billing versus actually processing sales.
Yes, absolutely. Now, as it turns out, all of these systems will allow you to essentially create a, pay by check. Really is what that really kind of turns out into. System where they don't actually have to process the actual financial transaction on the site. And WooCommerce will integrate into things like, it'll integrate into FreshBooks and QuickBooks and stuff like that, so you can actually pass that sales information on directly from your website into a third-party program that handles accounts receivable.
Okay.
So it again, WooCommerce is probably the right tool for that job, because it can in fact integrate with at least a couple of accounts receivable systems, and so you don't have to manually pass data back and forth.
And then does the accounts receivable or WooCommerce provide the ability to print packing slips, print an invoice, all that kind of stuff?
WooCommerce there's an extension that will print packing slips and invoices and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then that can easily also be applied to a thesis too.
Yes, it can.
On WordPress?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Great information.
You're welcome. Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Okay. John Turner asked, what did I say I used in the place of Dreamweaver? I use a software called NetBeans. It's essentially an editor for, it's originally a Java editor, but I use the PHP version of NetBeans. If you look at my series on tools of the trade under Customized Thesis Like a Pro, you'll see my discussion of installing and using NetBeans and the different aspects of NetBeans that I use. But it's what I do all of my programming in, is NetBeans. Let's see, Bob Jordan had a question or a comment, is that right? Am I missing something here? No, I don't think so. I'm just gonna turn your microphone on, Bob, just to see whether or not you had a question. Bob, did you have a question? I just unmuted your microphone.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, I actually joined 2 hours late, so I'm gonna go back online and do this. So my question was going in. I am afraid or leery and don't have time right now to work on thesis 2, and I was curious, can I start with thesis 1 and then use Thesis 2 later without a total rebuild?
You can do that with WPE Store, and you can do that with Shop. Those are the only two and Cart 66. Those are the only three out of these 5 that work with Thesis 1.
Okay, thank you.
And it's, really, you can do anything you want with Shop. And WPE Store is the right tool for the job for digital. So, those two things include the full range of tools. And they both work in Thesis 1. If you're going to use Shop, you want to use my plugin that's available on the WordPress.org repository. But I have extensive videos on the site on how to use Shop, which is why I'm not teaching Shop again this time around, because I already have plenty of stuff on Shop. So,
Excellent, thanks.
okay, you're welcome. Anything else?
No,
Okay, well, you have a lovely day.
thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Okay, well, and it looks like my very last question was from Jim, and he asked what my favorite cigar is. And, I think today my favorite cigar is the Rocky Patel Edge Corojo. It's a close, if it's not, and a close second would be the Joya de Nicaragua Antonio cigar. So those two are kind of trading off back and forth, and in fact, now that I'm done with this, I'm probably going to go smoke one of those. But that's it. Now, if you have other questions, if there are other people with questions, now is the time to ask them. Because I'd be glad to continue answering. But if we're done, we're done. Okay, well, it doesn't look like anybody else has any. Oh, Angie's got a question. Let's see. Can it be my membership question? Sure, why not? Hi, Angie. What was your membership question? Oh, the one you're talking about for next Wednesday. No, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about like a membership plugin, but no, let's keep that topic to next week. And Bob asked when will this session be online. This session will be online on Tuesday. So, okay, everybody, thank you very much for joining. It was a good full course. We'll be back again next week for part 2, and then actually the following Wednesday. Yes, the following Wednesday will be. We'll start actually building a store, and. Oh. Okay. Let's see. It does look like I have, now that I've said, okay, thank you, we're quitting. It does look like I have one other question from Mitch Meisner. Hi, I've unmuted your microphone and I probably messed up your name. Mitch or Mish or Michelle or however, did I have your name right?
Miche.
Miche, okay, there you go.
Miche. You're close. Yeah.
Okay, so fire away. What's your question?
Yeah, so I'm a custom jeweler. I have just want really a handful of products that somebody could go onto my site and purchase directly without having to, discuss it with me first.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would need a certain number of variables like that don't necessarily change the cost, but they need to tell me what finger size, like what color metal, what they want engraved and that kind of thing. And then a few things that would change the cost, like say the width of the band. And I've been wanting to set up my own cart for years, and I just get overwhelmed every time I look at one of them. And I'm wondering what you would recommend to be the best to go with.
Well, tell me about shipping. How do you provide shipping for these?
Yeah, I would do flat rate, and I live in Oregon, so I don't really have to deal with tax at this point. When somebody would, they'd have maybe 2 or 3 choices, like second day or overnight, or going through the postal service with a flat rate, because everything I have to insure it and make sure it's covered. So it's simpler to just do that than to do, individual pricing.
Are you working in Thesis too?
Not yet. I started to kind of mess around in there and find my way. So I'm hoping to. At this point, I have a website that another company built for me and runs with their own proprietary cart.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd like to have some kind of WordPress site of my own, and handle the shopping cart myself. So if Thesis is the best way to go, I'm a little familiar with that. I'm more familiar with just kind of WordPress in general.
I would say your best choice in this situation would be MarketPress.
MarketPress.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Great.
MarketPress has the added advantage of having a bunch of boxes that I created for Thesis too, so it gives you a lot of styling opportunity.
Okay. Great.
And that
Well, I
whole
will-
flat rate shipping thing works flawlessly in MarketPress, and since you don't have the taxing, you don't have to worry about that. It has really good multiple image management and extensive variations, but it doesn't sound to me like you're going to be maintaining. Are you going to have inventory controls with this?
No, because I make everything to order. So,
Right.
unless things really get out of hand and in a good way, and I get a ton of sales, then I guess I would either have inventory or at least want to have a cap and know when, oh my gosh, 10 of those just sold, and I
Right.
better get back into the studio.
MarketPress is probably the right tool for that job. But come next week anyway, and we're going to work our way through it.
Yeah, definitely, I want to. I just wanted to sort of get a head start in looking at it. So thank you. Your seminar's been great. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, BJ. You have a great day.
Thanks, you too.
Bye-bye. Okay, and with that, we're going to call it a day. Everybody have a lovely weekend. I have a live Q&A session on Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and Wednesday evening at 5 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So if you've got other questions about this, just go there and do it. Hey, please, +1 this, Facebook like this, retweet this, do something. I'd really appreciate that. And we'll be back again next Thursday morning. Everybody have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.